Guys, how are you? Today the video is about the build of the 196 Cutty Sark from Revell. We're going from this into this. I hope you enjoy the video. I hope you are safe. So let's do it. And hello guys, how are you? As I told you, this is the build of the Cutty Sark. At least all the hull and the deck. It's big. As you know, it's big. We will use a few things extra. We will work with a kit. It's an old kit. Needs a lot of love. Cleaning. By love, you understand it. It's cleaning the excess plastic. The sails, the plastic sails are good. They have a good texture. They feel like cloth. I mean, not bad at all, but I don't know if I'm going to use these. A lot of pieces, a lot of blocks, they all need, as I told you, to be thoroughly clean. The kit is not bad, but first of all I have to come clean with you on one thing here on this video. More ahead you will see that after I glued the deck onto the hull, I'm painting another deck. The thing is, I didn't like the work I did so far on that deck. So I got a very cheap kit and I used another deck and another hull, and this time I painted it, weathered it, and gave another wood grain to the deck. Okay, having said this, I know that comments will appear more ahead saying that I'm confused. Well, if you watch this, you will not. So the instructions are not bad. They just are very clear. You follow those. For those of you who are afraid of the rigging, as you can see, no problem at all. So let's start by building this old lady. And we start by dry fitting. I always say it, dry fit, dry fit, dry fit. And because we're here right now, a lot of pinholes have to be cleaned, you know. This model has a lot. If you are in a hurry, you can use a Dremel, but I cannot advise you to, because you can grind much more plastic than you want to. And after that, after we sand it and we clean it, we give it very nice coat of white primer. We check for imperfections. We sand if necessary the second and the third time. Of course, as you can see, we have a lot to clean. I prefer use this styrene glue rather than super glue because it melts, it bonds, it really bonds in plastic, you know. And CA glue, super glue will just turn into rock, and it won't give any flexibility to the hull. So I'm working slowly, waiting for the glue to cure and doing it very, very, very slow. The deck was a mystery to me, but in the end I learned a lot, and I do mean a lot. And sometimes the things we learn and we think are complicated are truly not. Because in this deck, you will see more ahead, I started to paint the deck, and I gave it what I used to call a Formula One treatment. By that, you painted it, you apply washes, you apply oils, and you do all that Formula One stuff. And in the end, I saw a video on YouTube of a gentleman. I will put the link of the video in the description below. Please go there and thank him for me, because wise, he is wise. And the simplest solution sometimes is the best. This deck has raised details, so well, it comes in 3 parts, and this seam line is soaring eye, you know, but you cannot escape from this. So the faster you accept that this kit has this line here and will have another one, well, the better for you. And I went into that YouTube video and I applied every single thing that gentleman said, and my God, easiest and beautiful result. That's why I did 2 decks and 2 hulls, and now we give it black matte primer. And of course we have to deal with these seam lines. This is primer, liquid primer. It's thick, so I can check the amount of sanding that I have to do, check for imperfections. And well, it turned out okay here. So the work you will see here on this deck, again, it's valid, it's good technique, if I do this on myself, but it won't be this one that I'm going to use on the final result, okay? Even so, this is the treatment for my wood grain. I apply matte white primer, let it cure, then this cream light wood tone, and some washes, some filters, and you will see more ahead that things were much easier for me if I watched that video earlier. But hey, living and learning. This deck has a little detail that just made me angry, and you will understand why. One of the things I do during the build is I take notes, okay? My memory is not the same, and here I'm trying to do the planking, you know? I'm going to measure some strips and glue it onto the deck, do that, you know, that planking effect, and I'm taking measurements. And as I'm doing things and putting percentages of paint and thinner, I take notes because I don't want to forget, you know. Sometimes if you apply a little bit more of thinner, well, it's a totally different consistency on the paint and the tone, so I take notes. And here, this, well, for you to have an idea, I have to do this 3 times. 2 on the first deck, because the first time I didn't like the effect. The second one, it was better, but I have always this question in my mind that is, you know what could make this better? And that's what I did. I repeated the effect. And then the last time I did it, and if I only knew it was that easy, well, you will see it. So the principle of this technique is, you know it, on the base color you glue these little paint strips simulating the wood on the deck. Then you apply a darker tone, and then you can apply another onto the deck, as you can see, and then another color. Regarding that, in the end, you give a unified coat, very misty coat of the first base color, that light cream underneath on the deck. If you give it a coat, it will unify the surface and it will make everything, all the effects, softer, and in the end you will get a good result. You can see I'm applying several tones of brown, darker, intermediate, and remember, again, as long as you give it a misty coat of that cream, the first base color, to unify the surface, everything will be all right on your planking on the deck. And when you remove the paint strips, you will be pleased. I can assure you that you will be pleased. As you can see, these are only the first paint strips. In the end, the deck was all filled with this, but I think, or at least I like to think, that the final result was subtle and with the class that the Cutty Sark deserves. The deck is not, as you can see, right now, it is very abrupt. It is very, you can see it clearly. But then, with that misty coat, well, I like to think that Cutty Sark deck, you can see the planking. I saw pictures, but yeah, I like the effect. As I was taking the paper away, the masking tape, I smiled a lot, because here you can see that it is, you can see the planking, you can notice the planking. Now check this, I learned this. If I only knew this earlier, if you take an old newspaper, and honestly, I didn't know this. Some of you are already laughing because you knew. And you rubbed it into that raised detail on the deck. Check that out. This is magic. What kind of sorcery is this? This is amazing. And I learned this with that gentleman, and I will always be grateful. That's why you should always listen to some people with more experience than you. Look at that. As you rub the old newspaper, and just an old newspaper, you use washes and Formula One products, and in the end, and now this, oh my God. Truly, this picture here, I noticed it here. I will have to remove it. I never got to see that Revell word. But, well, after all this work, we have two things we can do. We remove it or not, so I can live with both. And the paint work continues. It is an amazing technique. It washes the deck, unifies the surface, it acts like a filter, and all with an old newspaper. Huh, who wondered? And now the work continues. Every piece of plastic has to be cleaned, and I thought I should use a little bit of enamel here. You won't be able to see the interior. Actually, if you build it with, that won't be seen. But, well, even so, it's not one of those things. I know what's inside. I don't mind that, but yeah, I like to use a little bit of enamels from now and then, and a wash with burnt sienna and Zippo liquid fluid. I mixed both, apply it, and I don't know, it gives that grimy texture to it, and I like the way it looks. And this is the first treatment I gave to the deck. I painted it black, and then I applied clear varnish. Okay, clear varnish. Why? My intentions here were to first build it with the coppering, just clean copper, pure copper. But then I started to think, why am I doing this underneath on the hull, and I'm weathering the wood grain on top of the deck? Doesn't make any sense. And as we all know, copper turns to green. So you will see more ahead what I did. Here I'm just starting to work on pure copper as it is, clean, out of the box, as it should be painted by the book. And here I'm using Mission Model copper paint. As you know, I truly I'm very fond of their paints, and I'm polishing after cured. I'm polishing the copper. As you know, metal paints have some metal pigment, and if you, not always, not all paints allow this, but some, if you polish the final result after the paint is cured, they shine a little bit extra, you know? And that's what I'm doing. Removing the masking tape is something very satisfying. It's one of those things. Yes, I admit, it's even greater if you're doing that on a canopy, a plain canopy. But on this model, look at this. It's very gratifying. It's very satisfying. And the copper is, well, it's not bad. I guess we can agree on that, right? But why should I use it brand new if the ship it's not? But one thing I'm going to do is to give a dry brush to the upper part of the hull, okay? To make that timber detail, the planks, you know, to pop up a little bit more. And I really believe it paid off. I don't like to apply just the paint and it's finished, it's as it is. No, I truly believe that there's some detail that always pops up, despite the work that painters do on this case, a real ship. Well, that's my belief. And as you know, I use Molotov pans, enamel pans a lot. And in this type of detail, painting those white strips and those gold, which can also be brown, okay, strips, they were very, very, very useful. I have some gallery markers. I never tried those. Gallery sent those to me, and I don't know why I never tried that. Mainly because I don't build Gundam. In my opinion, they are more for Gundam builders. Not mostly, but probably they are more to build Gundam. But I tried to use the gold colors markers here, and I liked it. And here they are. I used 2 or 3 coats or passages of that marker. It's more like a watered tone, you know. But even so, in the end, I enjoyed the final result. And you have several metal tones: aluminum, stainless steel, steel, regular steel, dark iron. As you can see, gunmetal, zirconian black. In Gundam, if you build Gundam, they will be amazing. In this case, I will use the flashy gold and the old darker gold. And a good friend, an excellent modeler, taught me this. Panzerman's Bunker. Panzerman's Bunker YouTube channel. I will put the link in the description below. Hello Bill, how are you? If you go there, please say Bill that I sent you, because he is amazing. And he taught me that if you want to apply gold, brown is obviously the first paint you apply. And that's what I learned. I learned a lot. He is an amazing modeler. You should go there and you should check his work. Now we are going to apply the deck. As you know, this is not my first work, okay? Okay. But I'm going to reinforce the fit of the deck. So if I have to press a little bit more on the deck, it won't go down, you know? So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use evergreen strips, and as you can see, I'm reinforcing the deck fittings. Some of you could ask, Alex, if this doesn't look bad, why have you had to buy another kit? Well, I wasn't pleased. You know me, I'm not one of those who buy 3 or 4 or 5 kits just so that the end product will be amazing. No, I tried to do everything on the first run. This was my first time actually. I bought a second one, and it's not a bad work, but I don't know what I can tell you. That's me. I was not sure of the work I did. I enjoyed it, but not that much. So I thought I should buy another one. Contacted Revell, and as you can see, I worked on the hull and put it aside, and then see these black liners. I did this exactly on the second deck. Okay. When you apply a wash, that's what you want to pop up at the view, you know, and I thought I should do this because with all the deck details, this will just be one more detail, and actually, in my opinion, won't be that bad, you know. This will be hidden. And when you see that detail, it's exactly like if you apply the wash, you know? You clean it and that line just pops up. Well, it's exactly what I'm trying to do here. I'm just trying to make the deck a little bit more appealing to the eyes. And this, well, I have these old ammo MIG brushers here, and yeah, the applicator is very old, but it's still a good way to obtain a wood grain, you know. I just try to apply a cream color again, and this time I use dry brush and apply those oils, and well, be the judge of that. I think they look the business. And I just wanted to thank you for still being here. If you are here the first time, welcome. Please subscribe. A lot of you see this the first time and don't subscribe, and yeah, it's our choice, obviously. But I would like you to receive notifications of the work I do every time I do. I know I'm not the most regular, but well, retirement is close, and I truly believe the things will change when I retire. For now, well, if you subscribe, it will be a tremendous help to the channel, and I will be grateful. Thank you all. And as you can see, still a lot of work to do. First of all, to clean this. This has a lot of flash. This is an old kit. It's worthy. Believe me, it is worth the effort. And if you truly like this clipper, well, even better. However, you have to remove all this. See these ejector pin marks? You have to remove these. Then, with a little bit of Tamiya extra thin cement, you wet the surface, soften the surface, and then, because scraping, you lost that wood grain naturally on the mold of the plastic, you have to create it in order for the kit to don't lose its first appealing, you know. So that's what I am trying to do. I am wetting the surface a little bit, and then yeah, it looks a bit aggressive. Alex, what are you doing? It's wood grain. It's not you are not a sculptor. But in the end, we're all turned well. And as you can see, on each pin rail you have to clean this excess plastic. And I'm not going to use the dead eyes that this kit brings. I'm not going to use the red lines also. So I need to cover all these holes here, okay? Turns out you will see more ahead that not all are covered, because living and learning, you can cover some, but you cannot cover others. But this is part of the process of starting to create the fittings for the dead eyes, okay? That's what I'm trying to do. This way it will be more appealing to the eye. It will be better, you know, and that's what I'm trying to do. Oh, and the wood grain that I am applying, I had to apply it individually to each piece, each part here. As you can see, white base, and then applying the oils. And the oils, when you apply the oils, then you apply, for instance, in this type of wood, you apply yellow ochre, okay? And then I discovered that Indian red, for some mysterious thing, is very appropriate on this type of wood. Regarding, and very important, regarding that you clean it immediately after you softenly apply it. I'm sorry, English is not my first language, but I truly believe you understand. Apply the oil and clean it immediately, and that pigment of the oil will bond into the ochre and will turn that wood grain into a more kind of orange, you know, the type of wood that the cabins of the Cutty Sark has. Well, that's what I learned here. And now we're trying to give the name plaque of Cutty Sark. Again, I'm using gallery markers because I truly enjoy them. And yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm treating each part as an individual kit, even because wood grain is a constant on this model, of course. So that's why I take notes makes it all, it's all making sense right now, guys. That's why I take notes. What I advise you is, if you start to make the wood grain, start from A to Z. And it's impossible because you have a lot. But if you don't do that, you will lose your muscle memory, you know? That mix, that kind of nuance, applying the oils and cleaning it. That's why I advise you to take notes. That's why I advise you to start from A and go the closest you can to Z, okay, to Z. That's what I advise you to do. And this is the work I'm doing right now. It's going to get some wood grain. And you will see that I jump from the name plaque to pin rails. I'm going all over the place. And this is me. I don't follow the process. If I'm painting something brown and there are another 20 pieces that need to be painted brown and they are already primed, I say, yeah, as long as I have paint in my cup, I will take advantage of that. And as you can see, I'm painting that. So this is yellow ochre. And the same treatment I gave to the wood grain, I told you 5 or 6 times. That's exactly what I will do. Here on the name plaque, I will use these oil brushers, okay, by Amel, MIG. But in the others, the pin rails, I will use burnt umber or that Indian red. Again, as soon as you apply it, remove the excess, okay? Let the wood grain tone be very, very subtle. Don't forget that. And don't get me wrong, if I'm no teacher, you know. On this, I am no teacher at all. However, of course, I'm trying to explain everything I did. And if you think that there are an easier or better way to do it, please. This is not a call to action. This is sharing information. Write it in the comments. Send me an email. My email is on the channel. Write it in the comments and tell me the way you would actually do this. Present me with alternatives. I will read it and I will answer, okay? So as you can see, can you see that red? That's the tone of wood I'm trying to obtain. And this, the bulwark, has the wrong wood grain tone. So I will have to redo that again. As you can see, this is still the first deck. So imagine the work that I had so that everything looks as the same type of wood. That's why I say to you, work from A to Z as long as you can, because if you do that in one go, the tone will be much, much similar than if you do this today and tomorrow you will pick the work where you left it. It will be a little bit different. And those of you who work, do models, you know that. Take advantage of your muscle memory as long as you can. And remember I mentioned Indian red? Well, watch this. You have to clean the oil as soon as you apply it. I am applying it with one tip of the sponge and cleaning it with the other, okay? Remember that red that you saw on my tablet, the cabins of the Cutty Sark? That kind of wood, that reddish kind of wood, all varnished, that's exactly the type of tone that I'm aiming. Indian red, well, may not be the best, but it is very close. As long as you prime it white, apply yellow ochre underneath, and then apply on top the Indian red. But yeah, it looks ugly, right? Very, very ugly. Alex, what the hell are you doing? Well, as I told you, you clean it you clean it, and then probably you apply a wash, a filter if you want. Your hands will all get dirty because I'm painting with oils. This takes time. Yes, it takes time. Probably there are another technique, easier, simpler, and faster. But hey, I learned to enjoy this one, you know? So as you can see, you clean it thoroughly, okay? And you give it a white, again, by 8th or 9th time. White, ochre, and then apply the oils. And then, of course, protect it with probably clear, or if you think it's finished, a matte coat. And let it dry for 1 day, everything cure, and yeah, you will enjoy it, I can guarantee. I just would like to say that I'm using the original G.F. Campbell, George Frederick Campbell plans for the Cutty Sark. The naval draughtsman, I do believe you know that, who actually documented the ship in detail and later became one of its curators. These plans are basically the gold standard for the Cutty Sark. Proper line drawings, the correct hull form, the proper spar dimensions, the deck layout, the rigging, all the stuff that really shows how the real ship was built. They helped me spot where the Revell 196 kit, like this one, drifts from reality. And yes, there are differences. The hull contour is simplified, some deck fittings are oversized, the rigging plan is very Revell style rather than historically accurate, and a few proportions I don't mind. I'm not a rivet counter, but you know, it's Cutty Sark. And the rigging plan is doesn't have the proportions adequate to this ship. The masts, the yards, even the bulwarks are a bit off. And using Campbell plans lets me correct the details as I go, or try to amend or make the best as I can, and at least understand what's accurate and what's just the kit engineering. And this kit is very good. Don't be fooled by it. This kit is very old, but good. So as I build, I'm cross-checking the model against the real ship's shapes and details. It's very interesting because I started to know this ship's history, and yeah, it has a very interesting story. It even belonged to the Portuguese. As you know, I'm Portuguese. It was called the Freira. So this ship has tremendous history, and I'm using Campbell's plan, and they did help me a lot. And for the dead eyes rope, I used 0.3 millimeters copper wiring. Why? Well, it's not that it's much better than the wire, the thread. And to paint it, I just put it on, as you can see, put it on the paint bottle and just removed it. I just had to wait that the paint cured. And even so, be careful, because the paint just goes off sometimes. But hey, you repeat the process. You just repeat the process. And next we have the bowsprit. Sorry, this terminology sometimes just bounces in my mind. I know it in Portuguese, but this is the bowsprit, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm going to reinforce every single mast with wood inside the mast, because they are hollow, and I don't want them to bend. Okay, I just don't want them to bend. So I measured a little bit of piece of wood that I have here. As you know, I have a lot. I also make wood chips, and I truly love it. a little bit more complicated, but yeah, I love it. Let's not go into that discussion right now. And I put it inside the hollow space of the mast, and that's like that. It reinforces it and it prepares it for the tension of, well, the rigging, the wiring. So now I'm starting to build the deck cabins for the Cutty Sark. I've already painted everything and given it that proper wood look, and finally, this feels like progress. Up to this point, it was all prep work, sanding, fitting, correcting, fixing things you barely see. But now the kit is actually growing on the table, piece by piece, and that finally gives me some momentum. It's the first time I really feel the build pushing forward instead of going backwards. And this is not even the second deck. Sprue glue here. Basically, it's melted plastic. It's just bits of styrene, sprue dissolved in extra thin cement, and when it dries turns black, in this case brown, and solid plastic. I use it to fill gaps, rebuild soft spots, and fix areas where the kit isn't quite right, and there are a lot in this one. The good thing is that it bonds chemically to the model, so it stands exactly like the original. The original material, you know. It's stronger than putty, and it doesn't shrink that much. It's simple but incredible stuff. You should do it. This is the world's best polisher, your finger. If you want to polish something, give it a try. You won't regret it. And this jib boom came full of gaps, soft spots in the plastic. It had actually collapsed in place and left holes, as you can see. So for several days I kept using sprue glue to rebuild it. I'd brush the glue into every void, let it dry completely, then sanded it back down, and after that I hit it with a quick primer coat just to reveal the remaining imperfections, and then repeat the whole cycle again and again. More glue, more drying time, more sanding. Bit by bit the shape came back, and now the mast is finally round and solid and ready for paint. I already told you back there, but this is amazing. I always buy one bottle extra of extra thin cement, just put some sprues into it and glue dissolves it, and you have to build the consistency. But as you can see, if you just add enough plastic styrene, it will be turned into a goo, but it will be better than filler. Much better. Now finally, this is the second deck, okay? This is the final deck. And I'm going to paint a little bit of wood grain on the deck using the same process that I've told you time and time again. And then I proceeded to the weathering of the copper hull of Cutty Sark. As I told you, it didn't make any sense if I was weathering everything, and in the end only putting a hole with perfect copper sheathing. Well, not bad, but this ship deserves a little bit better, you know. And I do believe I got compromise between not completely copper and not completely green. That's what I was aiming for. Also, as I told you, very, very satisfying to remove masking tape. This is really satisfying. However, that seam line, it's a punch in the eye. I accepted it, but I don't like it. And how I achieved that? Well, again, that gentleman on the YouTube channel told me exactly what to do, and it was such a simple little thing. Well, I polished the copper and then just applied an airbrush coat of green, as you can see, and immediately I cleaned it with some denim piece of cloth, and now, as you can actually see, we have a bit of copper and green from the verdigris tone of the Cutty Sark, and I really, really love it. And this is the result of all the weathering on the hull. I must say, well, first I thought it was strange, but then I accepted it. I always thought I was going to build clean Cutty Sark, but yeah, I must admit, it has more charisma. It's a little bit more realistic, and it's cool. It turned out great, so yes, I accept it. It's very cool. And now we turn our attention to the deck and fitting and assembling all pieces that are going to make part of the deck. They all fitted, well. One thing that I noticed is, well, those holes for you to fit the pieces in the hull, in the deck, sorry, just cover them up and remove the appendices on the pieces, because they're made of plastic, and if a mast comes all ruined, and it's not that bad right now, can you see it? Imagine how the fittings on the pieces are going to be. However, you can remove it. You can use copper extensions and just make a hole in the deck and fit that little bit of piece of copper, and yeah, you can assemble the deck perfectly. Sanding, make sure that there are no paint on the glue contact areas, okay, because the glue is going to act on the paint, not on the plastic, and that's a bummer. And we, as you can see and as you saw, we're going to use all the dead eyes and red lines. We're going to make them, so that's for another occasion, but right now I'm just preparing the surface to make sure that when I start doing it, nothing is lacking and everything is in order and in place. I'm finishing up the deck fittings now. The pin rails are just dry fitted for the moment. You will see that, because once the masts are and the standing rigging go in, they could easily get in the way, you know. So I'll choose to remove them. They're just fitted so that you can have an idea. And to be very honest, I can do it, paint it a little bit better. Okay. Life's been shifting a bit. Okay. I'm getting close to retirement, and I'm taking things one step at a time. This build has been a real challenge, but also one of the most beautiful models I am working on until now. There are still a few mistakes here and there, guys. I'm not pretending that there aren't, my own problem, of course, but this channel was never about perfection. It's about growing, learning, sharing the process with you guys, including my mistakes. So maybe you don't repeat them if you want to. And right now, I'm just grateful that my hands are still steady enough for this kind of work, you know. I know there will come a time when they won't be as steady, and when that happens, I'll have these ships and these videos to look back on. Reminders of what I love doing and what I build with patience, a bit of stubbornness, and a lot of heart, if you ask me. And for those who actually are, let's use the expression, afraid of this kit, because a lot of people tell me, oh, it's a beast, it's very complicated. Well, let me say this. Don't ever let that get in your way, okay? Don't do it. If you want to build something, don't look at the level of difficulty on the box. Don't listen what people say. People are just commenting. They are not doing it with the bad intention. They're just saying their own opinion. But don't do it. If you like it, if you love it, go for it. Build it. Paint it. Spend a few months if you have to. Hey, I have HMS Victory from Heller. 4 years now, 4 years now, and I still have the intention to finish that one. And I'm going to start building a wood ship right now. I cannot tell you which one is, but it's a surprise. But don't ever let people tell you or allow you to think that you cannot build something, because you can, okay? You can. And there are a lot of people, I'm always saying this, my hands do shake a lot and I cannot build as you can. Yes, you can, because my hands do shake a lot, and they will shake much more, and I still do it. Please, if there's something that you can get in your mind with this video, except for the build, don't put yourself down. Never ever do it. If you like, hey, go online. If you have the money, if you have the means, go online, search for this or another one. Buy it, build it, be proud of it. That's what my videos are all about. I'm not saying that I'm perfect. I don't do this just to say, look how good I am. That's not the intention. I'm here 10 years plus, just sharing and doing a lot of mistakes. I never ever assumed that I am a modeler that doesn't make any mistakes. Show me one. So for you who think you cannot do this because it's a too complicated kit, go for it. Go for it. Just go for it and build it. You will be proud of it in the end. And this chain, if you ask me, it's a little bit off scale, but hey, it's a chain. I accept the fact that, yeah, you cannot do everything by scale. Let's not be a rivet counter here. And I truly enjoyed doing all this small stuff. The deck turns into life with all the pieces together. It is indeed a beautiful ship. As I told you, the pin rails, they are just fitted in, and I do believe I can still paint them better, you know? You know what could make that better? Yeah, me painting them better. Even so, it was a moment that I actually saw the build going forward. I enjoyed every second of it. And this tells a lot about the kit. The kit, yes, has its age, but even so, if you endure it, if you take each step as a kit individually, each cabin as a kit. If every single thing that you do it from start to end with a purpose that you want the best result on this, you can actually build it. Now you may disagree, the tone of wood, the wood grain and all that. Of course, each modeler is sovereign in its build. No one can or should tell him how to build. No one. It's his decision and his decision alone. And for me, it was very, very enjoyable moment to watch this build going forward the way it was going. And the wood grain just fitted perfectly. That's why I told you, start from A, and if possible, finish on Z, on the last piece, which is kind of impossible and hard to do, but if you can, do it, because the wood grain will be very coherent. And yeah, I also have to put the name and all those adorns on Cutty Sark bow, and I will, for sure I will. But even so, right now, this is the way it is. I put all the dead eyes on the deck, as you can see, and tried to do the best I could. Here I didn't use any rope. I used 0.2 millimeters copper wiring because I do believe it's better. You have more trouble painting it because it's copper. You have to apply primer by brush, but that's not a problem, right? After all we have done here together, that's not a problem. And now, well, it's 1 o'clock in the morning here. It was 1 o'clock in the morning, and I was very tired and I couldn't resist this cliche. I am so sorry for that. Probably this video will be demonetized, you know, but that's nothing that I matter. Yeah, for you. Cheers. Okay? Cheers. And thank you for getting along with me in this adventure. I will start another one. This, of course, will be finished. The masts, the sails, the rigging. But yeah, I'm pretty pleased with it. Okay, so guys, this is the moment. As always, keep modeling. Keep modeling. Always. Always with a smile. Please, stay safe. Thank you for watching. Oh, you're still here? Oh, you cannot be here. This is for the next video. It's a surprise. So, see you next time.